The ceasefire was supposed to last 2 weeks. The peace talks were supposed to produce a deal. The deal was supposed to end the most dangerous war in a generation. None of it happened, and now the most important shipping lane on Earth became a military standoff. All of it came down to one phone call from Netanyahu, and a man in Washington who could not say no to Tel Aviv. They called themselves peacemakers. One needs this war to stay out of prison. The other needs this war to stay in power. Neither of them needs peace, and the whole world is paying the price. Right now, American warships are in the Strait of Hormuz, blocking every ship connected to Iran. Effective today, April 13th, it is live, and Iran responded in one sentence. They called it an illegal act of piracy. Their military said any warship that comes near us will be dealt with severely. Oil crossed $100 this morning. The Dow dropped 500 points overnight. American consumer confidence just hit the lowest level ever recorded. And the man who started all of this, Trump, was watching UFC in Miami on Saturday night while his vice president spent 21 hours trying to stop a war. Those talks failed. No deal. And now the world is paying the price. This is what happened. This is why it matters. And this is what comes next. 5 days ago, there was a ceasefire. 2 days ago, there was a chance for peace. America and Iran sat face to face in Islamabad, Pakistan. First time in 47 years. 21 hours of negotiations. Iran's own foreign minister said publicly they were inches away from a deal. Inches. So what happened in those final inches? America had 5 demands. Iran must give up nuclear weapons permanently. Iran must stop funding Hezbollah and the Houthis. Iran must fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz with 0 tolls. Iran had its own demands. End the full war, including Lebanon. Lift all sanctions. Pay reparations. Keep control of the strait. Neither side moved. But here is the part that changes everything. While those talks were happening, someone made a phone call. Netanyahu called J.D. Vance. Iran's foreign minister Araghchi said it publicly the moment talks collapsed. He said they were inches from a breakthrough. And then the US side showed up with what he called maximalism, shifting goalposts and blockade. And while Vance was inside negotiating, Netanyahu went on television and said the battle is not over. He celebrated killing 12 Iranian nuclear scientists. He never once mentioned the peace talks happening in real time. At the same time, Israel was bombing Lebanon. Hundreds of strikes. The ceasefire that Pakistan brokered was supposed to cover Lebanon. Netanyahu said it did not. Trump agreed with Netanyahu. So Iran was being asked to sign a peace deal while Lebanon was being bombed in real time. That is not a negotiation. That is a trap. Pakistan's own diplomats were shocked when the talks collapsed. They believed both sides were genuinely close. The breakdown was sudden. It was fast. And it came right after that phone call. Here is something important that most coverage is missing. Iran did not just close the Strait of Hormuz. Iran turned it into a toll booth. Ships from China, India and Russia were getting through, paying up to $2 million per transit. Western ships were blocked or seized. Iran was making enormous money off the crisis it created. Trump's blockade is designed to flip that. Cut off Iran's oil exports, starve Tehran of money, force China to pressure Iran into reopening. That is the strategy on paper. But here is what is actually happening on the water. 2 days ago, US destroyers entered the strait for the first time since the war began. A civilian ship nearby recorded the confrontation on radio. The IRGC said on open channel, "This is the last warning. This is the last warning." Iranian media said a drone was launched at the American ships. 2 powers exchanging live warnings in an 18-mile wide waterway. That is where we are today. Iran has 3 moves right now, and all 3 are dangerous. Move 1. Direct military attack on US warships in the Strait. Iran has anti-ship missiles, drone boats, and naval mines throughout that water. And here is a fact that should concern everyone. Reports confirmed this week that Iran lost track of some of the mines it planted. Even Iran does not know exactly where all its own mines are. Move 2. Expand attacks on Gulf energy infrastructure. Iran already struck a tanker 800 kilometers from the strait. It has threatened UAE desalination plants. Its message throughout this war has been simple. If we cannot export, nobody in the Gulf exports. Move 3. The one that breaks the entire global economy. Activate the Houthis to close the Bab al-Mandab. Iran's senior advisor to the supreme leader posted this weekend. The resistance front now views Bab al-Mandab the same way it views Hormuz. The Bab al-Mandab is the choke point between Yemen and the Red Sea. 12% of world oil passes through it. Close it, and shipping between Asia and Europe has no route left except sailing around the entire continent of Africa. Weeks added to every shipment. Thousands of dollars added to every container. The Houthis already launched ballistic missiles at Israel this war. They already warned UAE and Bahrain. You will be the first to lose. Hormuz and Bab al-Mandab closed at the same time. That is not a Middle East crisis. That is a global economic collapse in slow motion. Now, let us make this personal. Before this war, oil was $73 a barrel. Today, it is above $104. US gas prices are $4.13 per gallon right now. That is $1.14 higher than 6 weeks ago. And Iran's chief negotiator Ghalibaf flew home from those failed peace talks and immediately posted a map of gas prices near the White House on social media. His message to Americans was direct. He wrote, "Enjoy the current pump figures. With the so-called blockade, soon you will be nostalgic for $4 to $5 gas." He was not joking. He attached a mathematical equation showing that oil shocks from a double blockade compound. They do not spike once and stop. Each shock creates pressure that generates the next shock. The Asian Development Bank warned this week that Asia-Pacific growth will slow because of this conflict. The European Central Bank warned Germany and Italy face recession by end of 2026. Shell warned Europe faces fuel shortages this month. And American consumer confidence just hit a record low, the lowest ever. Trump said gas prices might be a little bit higher before the midterm elections. The man who ran on bringing prices down just launched the move that every economist says will push prices higher. One last thing the mainstream is not headlining loudly enough. Trump said allies would join the blockade. He named the United Kingdom. The UK immediately said no. Australia said they received 0 requests from Washington and were blindsided by the announcement. Over 40 nations are now building a separate freedom of navigation coalition led by the UK and France that explicitly is not Trump's blockade. And the Wall Street Journal reported Sunday that Trump is also now considering resuming limited military strikes on Iran on top of the blockade. Talks failed. Blockade started. Allies refused to join. Strikes possibly coming back. Ceasefire expires in 9 days. 20,000 sailors still trapped at sea. Here is the story behind the story in plain language. This was never about nuclear weapons. This was always about one question. Who controls the Strait of Hormuz? Whoever controls that 18-mile passage controls 20% of the world's oil. Iran wanted to own that power permanently. America and Israel cannot allow that to happen. So a deal that was inches away died. And now the world pays the price. Iran called it piracy this morning. Oil is above $100. The blockade is live. And Netanyahu got exactly what he needed, no deal, and a war that continues. Here we are. This is the story behind the story. Share this right now if you think the world deserves the truth. Drop a comment below. Do you think peace is still possible, or is this heading somewhere much worse?